Are you tired of animating with gimmicks like an ape? Well, I got good news for you. There's a new mod out there called Timeline, and it's made by our favorite modder, Joan6694. What the timeline does is it actually gives you the option of having a timeline. Timeline in which you can set up keyframes and switch different values from ranging to color, clothing states, animation, and much more. Now you may be saying to yourself, Honeyselect 1, that's an outdated game. Well, not that much, and what's important is that this mod is probably going to be coming to Honeyselect 2, AI, and Koikatsu. This might be the most game-changing mod there is, as making custom animations is something most people wanted for a very long time, and making them is a very complicated task. This mod makes it much easier and way faster to do. So let's get going. I'm going to cover the basics to start with translation, rotation, and scaling. After that, we're going to cover colors and camera. Let's get started. Now I have a very basic scene over here. What we're going to be animating is this yellow cube over here. Select your cube. To open your timeline, press Ctrl T. The timeline is currently running, so I'm going to press pause with this little square over here. Now, what we can see over here is our timeline. If you scroll down here, these are all the values can change. If you have a character selected, you have very different interpolates to change. Select your cube. We're going to be changing the position, rotation, and scale of your cube. If you scroll down here, you can see all the interpolates you can change. Right now, we're going to go to Selected Guided Object Position, Rotation, and Scale. To add a keyframe in your timeline, middle click on it next to the value. Right now, I want position, rotation, and scale. Once you middle clicked on your timeline over here, scroll back up and you'll see your interpolates list over here. You see all these square little red things? They're called keyframes. Once you select one, they become green to show which one you have selected. Now this might sound a little scary at first, but it's very simple once you know how to do so. First off, let's set our keyframe to 0 on the timeline. To go through your timeline, go to the black bar over here, drag it, and you can see on your left over here, the time is changing. So let's put this one to 0 by putting it on to the left. Use current time to set your keyframe to 0, since our red bar is at 0. Use time, save, and you'll see your keyframe is going to move a little bit to the left. That's because we want to work correctly. By making our keyframe start at 0, you can actually make a loop with that. Always put your keyframes to 0 if you want to work correctly. Do that to the other interpolates over here on your keyframes. Save, use current time, and save. Now, to working correctly in your timeline, let's use the snap option. To snap your timeline to these bars over here, because every bar over here is a different second. But it's hard to snap just like that. So press Shift and move your timeline. It's going to snap automatically to each seconds. Let's go to 3 seconds. Or you know what? Let's go halfway in to 5 seconds. Let's close our keyframe menu. Select our cube. And let's animate. Let's take it to the right. Now we have our position. Let's rotate it. We have rotation, and let's scale it. To add a keyframe exactly to 5 seconds, press Shift again and keep it pressed and middle click on your timeline. This is going to make a keyframe exactly where your red bar is. Keep Shift on and middle click to your other 2 values. Now we have values for your position, your rotation, and your scale. Let's see if it worked. Press the rewind button. I like to call it rewind because, you know, it rewinds. Then press play. If everything goes smoothly, your cube should scale, rotate, and move its position to the right. You can do the same thing with your camera. Let's do that right now. To change your camera, usually the names are pretty self-explanatory, but for camera position, it's camera origin position, and rotation is obviously rotation. Grab your timeline and go to 0. Middle click on the position and rotation. New interpolates are going to set in for your camera. Let's put these to 0 because we are working correctly, and press save to each one of these two. Now, let's shift and go to 5 seconds and change our camera. Change it to however you want it. I did not do an interpolate for the zoom, so zooming is going to be left out of the question. Shift middle clip to get it to 5, and let's press the rewind. You can see your camera is now changing position and rotation. Now let me show you how to change colors on this little crystal over here. Let me just toggle off this handle as it's very annoying. As I said earlier, certain objects selected or characters have different interpolates over here, but now that we actually have access to color changing in Anim over here, we have the option to change the color. Even the metallic and smoothness are changeable. For this one, let's just change the color. I'm going to delete my camera keyframes as I do not want to rotate at the same place. Also, do not press delete straight away. It's going to delete your thing that you have selected in your workplace. I deleted several characters on many occasions, as which I keyframed them for about 30 minutes straight, so it's very frustrating to actually lose your progress. So right click on the value you want to delete and press delete. It's going to delete all the interpolates and the keyframe you have in your timeline. Now we have only color. Let's press this and go to 0, save, and now we're ready to change the color. Go to the center by shifting and putting your bar to the center. Go to color and change the color. Let's put it to orange. That's a little bit more red than orange, but you get the drift. Shift middle click. It should work like a charm. This gives us so many options that we never had the chance to actually change, and making the animations way more custom makes everything way more better. Now if you want to make this a loop, let's press this keyframe over here, our first one in the timeline. It's green since it's selected. Control C, go to close to the end, and Control V. This is going to paste your keyframe over here. Enter the value manually to 10 seconds. Press save, and it's going to go to the end over here. Now this keyframe over here is going to be white, since our first keyframe was white as well. So if we check this out over here right now, it's going to make a loop by going from orange to white. There you go. Now let me show you how curves work. I'm going to take this ring over here and change its position. Go to selected, guide object position. We can keep our color as it doesn't affect our object's position in any way. Middle click to add a keyframe. Let's put this one to 0 as we're working correctly. I'm going to start to be annoying by saying this, but trust me, it's very important to work correctly. So, let's translate this to the top over here. You know what? I'm gonna stop the rotation just to be able to see this clearly. I'm going to put this ring over here. Shift, middle click to add a keyframe. I'll be showing you how to make these curves work. If you're unfamiliar to animating stuff, curves are how your object is going to pick up speed or decrease speed. For instance, this one is very straight over here. You'll understand this very quickly if I actually add this one in. So let's add this one. There is no acceleration or deacceleration, if that's actually a word. I think you understand. So let's press this to play and show you what it does. It's going to clip automatically to our second keyframe, as there is no curves. Well, there is one, but it's just straight. So let's try another curve. Let's try this one. This one seems more organic, and it has a decrease and increase of speed. There's an easy in and an easy out on your curve. So it sounds more believable if you're animating a human character. You can make your own curves by actually clicking with middle click on your curve. To move these points in your curve, press left click and drag. You want to add another keyframe to your curve, middle click again. This is going to give a very strange looking animation, but sometimes it's actually what you want. There you go. So this is pretty much how you make these curves work. Let's go for something more advanced, such as character animation. As you can see in my showcase over here, there's a lot of stuff animated here. There is the pantyhose state and the glove state. I even animated the blush on the character's face. This is what makes this tool so powerful. There aren't many things you can't do when you understand this mod clearly. Let's animate this character's foot. Let me show you how many things are animated in this animation, as it's animated entirely with the timeline mod. These keyframes represent each body parts that are currently moving. You can see which part of the body as it is animated with the name over here. Let's select this foot. These are IKs, so you'll be moving the position mostly, but also the rotation. If you're with FK, you can only move the rotation. But in this case, let's only change the position. Go to Selected Guide Object Position. Middle click. And it should be right over here. FK leg, left work. Select your keyframe. Put it to 0. Save. Now if I go over here, snap it with Shift. Let's make that leg go a bit further. Shift, middle click to snap on the keyframe, and it should be good to go. And it should be good to go. There you go. Your feet is moving. As you can see down here, your interpolates option are much different from your cube. I invite you to go check these out one by one as there are so many things that you can change and I cannot cover all of these in one video. I also do advise you to go into the help section over here. It's a very long read, but there are so many interesting tips you can actually use to make your animations much easier to make and look way much more realistic. You can save files over here and load them afterwards. For instance, this animation is called finger signs. This pretty much covers everything I wanted to show you in this tutorial. As you may know, this is a very big mod. I cannot show you everything in one video. If you would like another video, please do request it in the comment section. I'll be sure to do it. If you want something in particular to be showcased, be sure to also mention in the comment section. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you all for watching. If you like what you saw, be sure to subscribe and like the video. See you in the next tutorial. Have a good one.